From Colleen Ballinger's absurd musical mea culpa to Diddy's recent acknowledgement of abuse, celebrity apologies hardly ever stick their landing, do they? In fact, celebrity apologies are so terrible that they've become a meme at this point. When someone famous messes up, we can predict with near perfect precision the formula they'll use to address the situation and apologize for it, and it never works. But why is that?
There is an argument to be made that the failure of celebrity apologies is down to our own collective cynicism.
No matter how sincere you seem, you'll never be able to adequately apologize to a pitchfork-carrying public. And perhaps it's true. But I think that lets the people who mess up off the hook a little too easily. I think the reason we roll our eyes whenever a celebrity trots out an apology video or apology Instagram story is we can sense that something is off about it, and that's for a lot of different reasons.
So today, I'm going to talk about celebrity apologies, why we hate them so much, and most importantly, how we can do it better and differently.
For most ordinary people, apologizing is as natural a part of life as breathing. From small errors to big mistakes that hurt people, there will be many times where we'll have to say I'm sorry. Is it fun? No. Is it hard to own up to our mistakes? Yeah. The problem for celebrities is that they don't often go through this process, especially if you've been rich and successful for a long time. Their fame, fortune, and power often means that people around them don't act normally. Surrounded by yes men and enablers, no one questions them or reprimands them for bad behavior because it might mean facing retaliation or losing employment. As a result, you can go a long time in your life never having to take responsibility for anything, which often makes the apology you do share seem forced. The fact that Diddy didn't foresee how people would respond to this shows you just how out of touch he really is. And this speaks to him being able to live without the standard of human decency for a really long time. Another factor that made Diddy's apology so downright terrible was the whiplash speed he went from vehement denial to ashamed admission. For many months, he was saying this was nothing more than a money grab, a witch hunt to tarnish his good name and ruin his legacy, blah blah blah. He went as far as to say time will prove that he was innocent.
Well, time did not do that.
It only proved that he actually did do what he was accused of, and that leaves a bad taste in our mouths. If you denied these allegations knowing full well that this video existed, why go on the internet to defend your honor? Also, it makes your subsequent apology seem so disingenuous. Diddy's apology was just poorly timed and strategized, and he actually put himself in a very treacherous corner.
If you frame an apology around one isolated incident, what happens when more incidents surface?
Diddy says he has since changed after the 2016 incident in the footage. So what will happen if we find out about things he's done more recently? In light of the recent Rolling Stone expose, he's probably in this situation now.
Diddy's apology was not a meaningful mea culpa. It was a manipulation.
He was saying sorry to save face, not out of genuine contrition, and we could all tell. As a man who has for decades enjoyed being seen as this great person and has always been able to wiggle out of tough situations, this was a desperate attempt to reshape a turning narrative and regain the public adoration that has been slipping from his grip for years. It's very clear he was apologizing to the general public for showing us this side of himself and not to Cassie, the person he actually abused. And yes, I know for legal reasons he couldn't say her name, but he honestly could have addressed the apology to her without mentioning her name at all. Another thing that made this apology so awful was the lack of real accountability. The man really did not take responsibility for his actions. He blamed substance abuse for his wrongdoings and cast the responsibility onto a past version of himself, one he has since allegedly corrected through therapy and spiritual counsel. Is it possible that he has had these issues to correct? Sure, but to put them in your apology also reeks of manipulation. So, if the sorry was screwed up, how do we apologize the right way?
Well, first, you actually have to mean the apology.
Saying sorry because you think you have to will only lead to an apology that feels forced, and it could end up doing more damage to the person you're apologizing to and to your reputation. Don't gaslight people with your apology.
If there is one thing I cannot stand about the apologies I see on reality TV is how they're framed around this, well, I'm sorry if what I did made you feel, like it's always got this qualifier of if.
Because you're not owning the fact that you hurt someone, but rather putting the blame of the experience on them rather than taking responsibility yourself. If you're really sorry, you own all of it without conditions. No ifs, no buts, or maybes, because ultimately it's about how you affected someone else. Don't use cheap gestures to give an apology more weight. Like Diddy saying he's gone to therapy and rehab. While it's true, you're basically going, hey guys, I'm a better person now, forget what I did in the past, with zero evidence to prove that you've actually changed.
Sure, Diddy might have done the work privately to stop being such a toxic person, but we don't know that.
As far as we're concerned, we're still living in the timeline where he beat up a woman on camera with nothing but socks and a towel. We're still in the timeline where the dark acts he hasn't answered for are being exposed. We're going to need a lot more than empty words to convince us that he's changed. Especially because he's been doing this for decades apparently, allegedly. The most impactful apologies completely own the wrong that was done, explain why it happened without excusing it, and they are backed up by a true commitment to do better. Apologizing is only step one. You actually have to do the work to regain trust and rebuild. Apologizing is the ultimate act of empathy, and when we do it right, it mends relationships, heals rifts, and makes bonds stronger. If it doesn't, the world collectively rolls its eyes at you and continues to cancel you.